Hello, everybody. I'm back. Dr. K.K. Agarwal, President, Confederation of Medical Association of Asia and Oceania, and Heart Care Foundation of India. And you are watching Medtalks with Dr. K.K. Agarwal. This is going to be 1631st COVID episode and 204th Medtalks with Dr. K.K. Let's have the headlines of the day. Till date, India has conducted 20 crore total COVID tests. The cumulative positivity rate is declining and is presently at 5.39% at a national level. The WHO DG has cautioned that after inoculating their own health workers and older people, countries must share doses with others to eradicate the deadly coronavirus. Otherwise, we will be back to square one. The third phase of vaccination against COVID-19 for citizens older than 50 years and those who are younger but with serious comorbidities is likely to begin in March. The health minister conveyed it to the Lok Sabha on Friday. India's external affairs minister has said that India has so far applied COVID-19 to about 15 countries. Another 25 countries are on the line. Can two different COVID-19 vaccines be used for two-dose regimes? The trial is in UK, where they are going to have the first dose by one group of vaccine and the second dose by another group of vaccine. Let's have the topic of the day. Yes, we are continuing our series of discussions on vaccine hesitancy. I was talking to one of his senior person today in the city, and when I asked him about vaccine, he says most of the people are still debating. They want to wait for a couple of months before deciding whether they want a vaccine, and if yes, which vaccine. To discuss this, let me introduce my guest. And before that, remember, Atithi Devo Bhava. We have to wash our hand once we accept. S for Seedha, U for Ulta, M for Mutti, A for Angutha, N for Nakhun, or K for Kalai. With this, Atithi Devo Bhava, by remembering the word Suman K, we are ready to welcome our special guest, Dr. Anita Chakravarti. She is back with us. She is a former professor and head Department of Microbiology at Maulana Azad Medical College, New Delhi. She established the Diagnostic Virology Lab at Maulana Azad Medical College. Her basic interest and contributions have been in the field of clinical virology, and she has been a recipient of many national and state awards. So I'd like to listen to you, Anita ji, your views on this vaccine hesitancy. Why people, forget about the people, why the doctors are so hesitant that we want to wait, let us see the reactions on the others, and then we are going to take. Anita ji.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Agarwal, and it's very nice of you to have me as your guest. So I would like to take you all through some slides, and then I will like to elaborate about the vaccine hesitancy, why it is there even amongst the doctors. When the outbreak started, we thought we were safe. It was only in Wuhan. Unfortunately, the outbreak started and we had the pandemic coming here. Couple of cases, lockdowns opened, and then we had a large number of cases. And then it was diagnostics, it was increase in diagnostics, and the government really boosted everyone. And we had a lot of testing as well as even the treatment parameters, protocols, they got changed, and we started seeing that we were getting very good results. So we waited for the vaccine. And now when the vaccine has come, now people are waiting for the others to get vaccinated to see how it happens. So it was sort of like in Hindi we say, pehle aap, this phenomenon is going. So you wait for the vaccine for almost 8 months, and when it comes, then you put your foot back. So for that, I would just like to talk about the current vaccines which are there, and everything is transparent. Everything is available. Therefore, there is nothing to fear. So when it comes to COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy, can I have the next slide, please? The basic idea is, why is vaccine so important? We don't have any antiviral drugs. So we are treating the patients according to their presentation and what we suspect they are going to go into any any immunological disorders, any bleeding disorders, etc. So when you have a vaccine, it's a preparation which is going to boost your immunity towards that particular disease, so that even if you are having or you come in contact with the disease, you'll still have your immune responses fighting with the disease. And the vaccines can be in any form. They could be killed, they could be live, they could be attenuated. Attenuated means the vaccine is live, but it won't cause infection, but it has antigenicity. Or they could even be some genome or toxins. Can I have the next slide, please? Vaccines are tested in very, very stringent conditions, and everyone knows everything almost, because it's out in the TV, it's out in the papers, it's out in the discussions. And I wanted to emphasize, normally a vaccine takes a lot of time, 10 to 15 years. One of the vaccines took 4 to 5 years. I think it's the measles vaccines. Otherwise, it goes through a lot of trials. Like first, it'll be in animal models, and usually they choose either primates or they choose the mouse, and then it goes into the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Then it goes to the regulatory authority. So phase 1 is few people, phase 2 are more, phase 3 are much more. Phase 1 is doing safety testing. Phase 2 is also going to do the safety testing, will also see the immunogenicity. Phase 3 is going to see the efficacy. I don't want to elaborate about this because you have had many sessions. Only after the drug controller, who has a set of experts with him in all the fields, accepts the vaccine, then it goes for manufacturing. So it's a highly stringent condition which takes years. Can I have the next slide, please? Since this is a special pandemic, and since this is a very special time, therefore everything has been compressed. Please, can I have the next slide? And because it has been compressed, it has been put into a very short phase. So the idea about a vaccine, people might have just started thinking about it very early after the outbreak, and maybe in July and August. And there were the platforms by which they could make a vaccine because of science. And what happens in this case is all the stages the vaccines have gone through, but they have gone through the stages in parallel. Therefore, the vaccine appears to come out very soon, but they've gone through all the stages of preclinical, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and approval by the authority. Even the vaccines which have come from outside, the Oxford Zeneca, that has gone through all these stages. And the stages have been compressed, but the efficacy of most of these vaccines which are available in India, they are known in a limited population. The next slide, please. Now, why are we going on talking about Covaccine or Covishield? Why do you need it? To be frank, both the vaccines are good. They are both efficacious. They both can protect. And now there is literatures. There are preprints. There are prints. There are literature in the Lancet, which is a very good established peer-reviewed journal stating that both vaccines are very safe. So safety is our main concern. After that, it comes immunogenicity. So the vaccines, Covishield has gone through these trials, as well as Covaccine has gone through the phase 1, is going to the phase 2 trials also, as well as the efficacy trials. So multiple vaccines we basically want is because each of the COVID vaccine, they have advantages, disadvantages. They could be given to different types of population also. Therefore, it's important that some vaccine may not be good for the immunocompromised, but the other vaccine could be. Secondly, we want a coverage. We want a rapid coverage so that we can stop the spikes. We can stop the pandemic and then showing its evil face. So that's the main idea. Therefore, we are having so many vaccines, which all basic idea is to have an immune response. And the immune response is in the form of either the B cell, which produces the immunoglobulins, the antibodies, or the T cells. And the T cells are the ones which gives the cell-mediated immunity, the CMI. It makes you remember that, yes, I have come in contact with this particular organism. Next time I come, I'm going to take out my weapons, and all these various cells will come into that site and will not permit the virus to act against the body. The next slide, please. So this is the basic idea of the vaccines. You have live attenuated, you have subunit or part of the spike protein of the vaccine, you have virus-like particles or VLPs, you have vectored vaccines, means you're using a vector, you're using an outer coat of some other virus, which is non-path, which will not cause infection. And inside you have the immunogen, or the part of the virus which is going to give rise to the response, the immune response. Now you have the mRNA vaccine, the first of its kind, which Pfizer took out, and it was started, the immunization was started in December. And of course, the DNA vaccine is also a newer vaccine, it's there. Can I have the next slide, please? I would like to talk a little bit about the two vaccines with us. One is the Covishield, and this is manufactured by Serum Institute, and we know it's between the Oxford group and AstraZeneca. It's a vector vaccine, and it's a harmless virus, and it has the spike protein. And when the virus infects a cell, then the foreign gene is put into the cell. This gets translated, transcribed, translated, and it produces various response against that antigen. The next slide, please. So this is how it looks. You have one virus, and then you have the coating of the other virus, and inside you have so that you can call it as a carrier virus, just like you have rocket carriers, this is the carrier virus. The next one, please. This vaccine has to be given in 2 doses. It has to be given intramuscularly. It has the spike protein, which gives immunogenicity. And by the 28 days, this is what is our regime in India, we give the second dose. And efficacy is good. It's 70%. Anything above 50-55% is good. So it gives a good efficacy. That means you are protected against the fresh infection. So you will be exposed, but you are protected. Can I have the next slide, please? Now, when you get the vaccine, there's always a leaflet, and the leaflet tells you everything. Package insert tells you even the minor points. If the adverse reaction is happening 1 in 10,000 times, that also is going to be mentioned. So one doesn't really have to be so wary about this vaccine. So this is what is there in the package literature, and this is there so that one is aware you should not be allergic to certain things like polysorbate, AT, because these are some of the substances to which one can be allergic. The next slide, please. There are side effects and there are benefits of the vaccine. So usually it is given after 4 weeks at the 28 days, and the duration of protection is till now, since it's a new virus, the protection is there for some time, maybe 3 months, 4 months, and we will see as the time goes, we will come to know how long the protection is there. Side effects do occur, and side effects, you must remember, is with all vaccines. Even if you take tetanus vaccine, you can get fever, you can even DPT that produces especially, that gives rise to fever and stiffness, and even sometimes some headache. So these are the types of reactions one can get at the site where it's being injected: pain, warmth, redness, fatigue, chills, headache, nausea, muscle pain, joint pains, and everything is written in the pamphlet. So this can occur. It need not occur. In very few people, these side effects would occur. The next slide. So sometimes some very uncommon things could also occur, like large lymph nodes or excessive sweating or dizziness or some itchy skin rashes. These are unusual presentations. The next one, please. And sometimes very unusual presentation occurs, and those are the serious presentations, but they are very less. and they could occur with any other normal vaccines which are being given. And it's mentioned everywhere what you should do. Suppose you get any, even a small side effect, small adverse reaction. So there is a complete toll-free center, and there is something called as pharmacovigilance site where you have to report, and doctors and health personnel come and attend to you. So there is not much of a fear, and they monitor you. They talk to you on the phone too. The next slide, please. So apart from the Covishield, we also have the Bharat Biotech vaccine. This is a good vaccine too. It's an inactivated, so the virus has been killed, a very safe vaccine. So the virus is not going to multiply. But since it has all the parts of the virus, there would be an immune response to most of the parts of the virus, the spike, or maybe even to the what we call as a nucleoprotein antigen. You could have antibodies to that too. And the vaccine has all the components, and it evokes memory cells. So once you come in contact with the pathogen, the vaccine will fight the disease when the memory cells come into the site where the infection is occurring. The next slide, please. So this is how it is made. It's killed, and there are various methods of killing. And one of the methods are used to kill so that it won't replicate. The next slide, please. And how is it given? So this is our own virus vaccine. This is the virus which has been isolated in National Institute of Virology, Pune, and with Bharat Biotech, it is being manufactured, and it has a lot of constituents in it. And this is being shown to you in this particular slide. So it has got alum hydroxide, and it has got other adjuvants too, so that a killed vaccine usually needs adjuvants so that it can give a better immune response, so that acts as a booster. That's why it's put with an adjuvant. The next slide, please. So who should not get these vaccines? Who have allergies to any of the constituents, who have serious bleeding disorders, who are immunocompromised, and obviously pregnant ladies are not giving the vaccines. And if these side effects are there, then one has to be careful while giving these vaccines. One has to show to the doctor, and then the remedial treatment is there, and then the vaccine can be given. The next slide, please. So these are all fact sheets. These are all available. And the side effects are the same ones: pain, swelling, redness, weakness in arms, stiffness. Rarely you can have vomiting, nausea, sometimes even lose motion. So these are rarer ones, and it can stay for more than a day or two. The next slide, please. So one should not panic about it. And anytime you have any of these reactions, one is monitored, one has to contact the pharmacovigilance cell, as well as contact certain numbers which has been given by Bharat Biotech. These are all actually emergency use vaccines. So you need to be informing if there is some adverse reaction. The next one, please. Now, why do we have vaccine hesitancy? And what is vaccine hesitancy? It is, I don't want to take the vaccine. It is available. The government has made an excellent system in India for delivery of these vaccines. Cold chain being maintained, proper health personnel being there at all the sites. You are being monitored for half an hour after the vaccine. Limited people being sent to the vaccination site. Everyone using masks. So all these systems are in place. We also have smart in the smartphone. You also have a site where you are being Cowin, where all the data is there. So even though these things are there, still people are hesitant, and this is a very complex issue. And the hesitancy in different sites are for different reasons. Like a person would think, I'll take the vaccine. After he has taken, I'm going to observe what happens, and then I will take. Other person would think, oh, let it be near my house. It's a convenient site. I'll go at a convenient time. Lastly, it's the confidence. If I go there, if I have some reaction, how am I going to deal with? So all these factors come into the mind. Sometimes it could even be some religious factor which comes into the mind. The vaccine might have some ingredients which are not, which we may not like to use. So These are the various vaccine hesitancy which is there. So when we were waiting for the vaccine, everyone was desperate. It has come now. Now we see vaccine hesitancy. It's not only in our country, it's in almost all the countries everywhere. Although all these stringent measures are being followed, although everyone is being monitored. In fact, I personally went and I was really impressed by the way they deal regarding this particular vaccine. You are monitored so well, and all the precautions are taken so well, and the needle is so good. It's not painful. It's just like a small little mosquito bite. So I think there is no need to be so afraid. Can I have the next slide, please? So these play a very important angle: complacency, confidence, convenience, and at times it could be all the three. And then the fear of unknown, what is going to be there. It's a fact that this is a new disease. It's a fact there are so many things unknown, but it's a fact that science has made improvement. It's a fact that it has gone through all these phases of trials. They have been extremely rigid. The drug controller doesn't sanction a vaccine if these trials are not rigid. And it's known that every vaccine can give an adverse reaction, but that's extremely rare, extremely rare. Can I see the next slide, please? So at times we see some sensational things on the WhatsApp. Everyone wants to put their findings on the WhatsApp. You hear some emotional stories, and many times there are variations at local levels or at the state levels or at the national levels. These also have certain impacts. Can I see the next slide, please? So vaccine, in conclusion, is essential. It's a weapon. It's in our armamentarium, and we can combat this virus, this COVID-19 pandemic, by using this vaccine, by protecting us. Not only do we protect ourselves, we are protecting others, because once we get immune, the transmission chances are much rarer. And every day there is in the paper, Covishield is good against the new variant. So there are chances there would be many variants. There are more than 4,000 variants. Some are variants which are making the virus more virulent, which are increasing the transmission, which are causing more severe disease. But why are we vaccinating? So that if there is a chance, at least the severity will be less. We will get exposed. We might have some minor manifestations. It will be less. Second, the transmission will not be there. We can see to it that we all are barriers in the transmission, and we will get herd immunity, and it can be restricted. Vaccine, you all must have read frequently asked question: even if I have COVID, you can take the vaccines. If you are having the infection, that time you do not take. So everything is there. So please don't be hesitant. I have myself taken the vaccine. I was very impressed. And my colleagues who have taken the vaccine, they had some mild side effects like a little bit of pain or a little bit of swelling. And maybe they might have felt a little febrile, but within a day or two, they were all fine. So with this, I would not hesitate to say that please stop the vaccine hesitancy. Go ahead. You have got the chance. We are very lucky to be in a country where we have great manufacturers, and we have all these vaccines being given easily to all. There are so many sites where they're being given. We have the system in place. So it's very important that we realize that and we go ahead and vaccinate ourselves. It should be 100% covered.
So that was Anita ji talking about vaccine hesitancy. एक चीज ध्यान रखिए, आपके पास चॉइस नहीं है. Either you are going to have corona or you are going to have a vaccine. And corona, those cases to whom we think that corona is going to be deadly or harmful, vaccine is the only answer. You don't have a third choice as on today. It's a novel virus. It's not like a virus which is endemic. In a novel virus, unless it infects 100% of the population, it is not going to go away. And it is not like a orophycal transmission that indirectly you will get some immunity. That's what. So I want to come back to some basic points. कि आज की डेट में वैक्सीन हेजिटेंसी के लिए हमारे माध्यम से सरकार को क्या क्या हम सजेशंस दे सकते हैं? पहला, देयर इज अ ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल हु आर हाई रिस्क, हु आर अफ्रेड, who want their doctor to be involved in vaccination, who doesn't want to go alone in a sector which is unknown to them for a vaccination. So the government should include the private sector, give them the vaccine, and you say you go ahead. Say, for example, somebody says, I want a scratch test or I want an intradermal test. So as on today, the vaccine department is saying, mat leo. अगर आप बोलते हो कि मेरे को एलर्जी की हिस्ट्री है, ना, इफ यू वांट टू गो फॉर ए स्क्रैच टेस्ट और इंट्राडर्मल टेस्ट, दे आर नॉट डूइंग as on today. So maybe if they involve the private sector, they will convert every contraindication into an indication, and that when vaccine hesitancy will go away. Your views on that?
That, yes, actually the idea is to convert the contraindications into indications, and for that there has to be some battery of tests. There has to be a protocol. So if you're allergic, this is what you should do before you take the vaccine for your safety. And of course the monitoring has to be there. So if the monitoring after the vaccine is there, which is being done, and the later on monitoring also, then the person is confident. So the idea is to build up the confidence, because what happens, even if a single side effect occurs, that is highlighted, and because of that the apprehension, which is normal human nature, that occurs. So yes,
the second point is government must tell everybody कि हमने सारी टीम को जो वैक्सीनेटर्स है उनको वैक्सीन दे दिया है. पीपल आर स्टिल सेइंग कि वैक्सीनेटर्स को अगर वैक्सीन नहीं मिला है तो उनसे हमको तो नहीं हो जाएगा. ये मैसेज अभी तक कम्युनिटी में नहीं आया. लोग कह रहे हैं लेट अस वेट फॉर 2 months, सारे वैक्सीनेटर्स को भी लग जाए ताकि हमारा रिस्क जीरो हो जाए. ये ना हो कि 9 महीने से हमने अपने आप को बचाया और वहां जाके वायरस लेके आ गए.
Actually, this is being done in phases. So it's the frontline workers, and it's first, and later on the elderly. So the frontline workers are the ones we know who have been dealing with the patients, and they are definitely exposed. Of course, they do have antibodies because so many of them have been exposed. But still, if a vaccine is given, again, they'll have the boost in the antibody and they will get much more protected. That's why the idea was to first give the frontline workers, and now they're giving the police, then they're giving the other support staff, and the vaccinators would be in this later on in the second phase of the frontline workers.
No, अगर आपने vaccinators को नहीं दिया, see, vaccinators have to be given on the first instance. They have to be the first one to get it. क्योंकि vaccinator को नहीं मिला, वो तो इन्फेक्शन दे देगा अगर उसको एसिम्प्टोमेटिक इन्फेक्शन हो. तो लोग जानना चाहते हैं सरकार की तरफ से कि हमने सारे वैक्सीनेटर्स को दे दिया. That will take away the hesitancy. My third thing which comes is that लोग ये भी बात करते हैं कि ये ऑक्सफोर्ड का एग्रीमेंट के साथ में है, तो इसकी क्वालिटी में और लंदन में होने वाले ऑक्सफोर्ड की क्वालिटी में कोई फर्क है क्या, इन टर्म्स ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, इन टर्म्स ऑफ अदर थिंग्स. सो ये मैसेज सरकार की तरफ से जाना चाहिए कि ये बायोसिमिलर तो जरूर है, इंडिया में बना जरूर है, बट इसमें और ऑक्सफोर्ड वैक्सीन में कोई फर्क नहीं है. अनिता जी.
I totally agree. This message has to go, and it is a fact that Covishield and AstraZeneca vaccines are one and the same. And therefore, people should just not be concerned. Manufacturing is different, and having the vaccine is different. So it is being manufactured by Serum Institute, but it's this one and the same vaccine. The formulation is absolutely the same. Therefore, there should be no concern in the people who are taking vaccines, in the general population.
जब भी हम किल्ड वैक्सीन की बात करते हैं, so there has been a unwritten rule all over. This is what we have learned in our MBBS, that जब आपको कुछ ना समझे तो किल्ड वैक्सीन बना दो. इसे ब्रिजिंग वैक्सीन बोलते हैं. When you don't have any other vaccine, you overnight make a bridging vaccine which is called as a killed vaccine. Irradiate the virus, give it. You kill the vaccine, give it. You alcohol में डाल के दे दो, irradiate कर दो, kill कर दो, formalin में डाल दो. And this is what China did. And this is what India anticipated जब उन्होंने बोला था 15 अगस्त तक हम लोग किल्ड वैक्सीन बना देंगे, और फिर मीडिया प्रेशर से ये पीछे हट गए. आज चाइना ने लीड लेके जल्दी लॉन्च करके पूरे वर्ल्ड के अंदर में वो रूल कर रहे हैं. Do you think it was a mistake or it was a fear in the mind of the government at that time not to introduce it early? They should have introduced this vaccine after phase 1 when you know kill vaccines are safe.
No, I agree with the decision of the government. Actually, kill vaccines are very safe. Absolutely. Only thing is the how long the immunogenicity stays is not known, and maybe the amount of doses to be given. Just like we had kill vaccines for cholera for a very long time. The thing is that one didn't want to take that risk, and second is that usually we wait for the phase 3 trials, and phase 1 will only talk to you about the safety, phase 2 will tell you about the safety, immunogenicity, and 3 is the one which will tell you about the efficacy. So in India, they went in for the trial, and in fact, when it was licensed also, almost 22,000 people had gone for the phase 3 trial. So that is not less. That's a huge amount of the population who are tested, after which the regulatory body gave the approval. And the efficacy of the initial phase trials has already come out in the Lancet. So
No,
it's
madam,
it is
मैं कुछ और बोल रहा हूँ. मैं कुछ और बोल रहा हूँ.
the
ऐसे when
decision of
you
the
are,
government is correct, according to me.
I am only trying to say is China used it after phase 1 and phase 2, and see the virus came from China. The virus, there are 4,000 mutations lying in UK, much more than will be lying in China. So China launched a killed vaccine. Because bridging vaccine का मतलब ही यही है कि don't wait and just make it overnight and give it. That's what bridging vaccine is. Bridging vaccine का मतलब ये है कि जब आपके सारे ट्रायल्स ना हो तो किल्ड वैक्सीन इज द सेफेस्ट वैक्सीन. नहीं काम करेगा, नुकसान तो नहीं करेगा. सो हमने, अगर आप फेज 1, फेज 2, फेज 3 ट्रायल में तो 1.5 लाख लोग मर गए ना. चाइना ने तो नहीं मरने दिया ना अपने लोगों को. चाइना ने तो मोर्टेलिटी नहीं मरने दी ना. चाइना ने तो उस बीमारी को रोका, सबको साइनोफार्म लगा दिया, उसके बाद में बीमारी रोक दी उन्होंने. अब वो लगाते रहेंगे दूसरे वाले वैक्सीन. I'm only trying to say lesson learned. I'm only trying to say for future. I'm not talking about what has happened. So we may justify the government action, but I am debating that if this situation comes again, then we should not. In a pandemic, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 has no role. Whatever is the best, easily made as a bridging till phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials are available. You have to have a quick fix. And a kill vaccine is the quick fix. Cannot harm you. Cannot harm. A dog क्या करता है? कुत्ता क्या करता है? अपना infection चाटता है. That is nothing but a killed virus or a killed bacteria. See, all the animals जो अपना wound को चाटते हैं, that's nothing but a killed vaccine or a killed bacteria. They are trying to take it out as a self-immunity purposes.
No, but that would be like that would be in Hindi तुक्के में डाल रहे हो, because you wouldn't be.
I'm only trying to. I am not putting it on a tukka. I'm only trying to say is when Russia and China, I mean, let's talk about the future. China and Russia has shown that a killed vaccine can be given early enough to stop a pandemic. That lesson must also be debated in the country as a future strategy. I'm not talking about the decision.
Maybe.
See, the decision can go here or the decision can go there. At that time, whatever was best, the government took a decision. But it was in the mind of the government that they could have gone the 15th August way. They reversed their decision. That means at that time they debated. But what I am trying to say is, in a future pandemic, whenever you have a similar situation, one should debate why not use a killed vaccine and give it as early as possible. At the most, it will not work, but it should not harm. It should not harm. I'm not saying it will not harm, it should not harm. But coming back to these two numbers, madam, 180012001224 and 180010222245. Unfortunately, this number needs to be promoted every day. I'll make sure in my talks these numbers are promoted. But I am aware of 50 people whom I sent for the vaccination. These numbers were not given. Even to me, this number was not given, whom to inform. So therefore, these two numbers needs much more promotion. Every doctor in the country must know where to report. Unfortunately, even I am so well read. Even for the first time, I heard about these two numbers that they need to be promoted. I was only thinking inform your center, but these two centralized number needs to be promoted much more. Yes, you want to say something, madam?
Yeah, I wanted to just add that anyone who's getting any type of what they feel is a side effect should inform, because
नहीं
we
कर
need
रहा
to
है,
know about
नहीं कर रहा है,
that
नहीं
is
कर रहा है,
so
नहीं कर रहा है
they should
इसको। नहीं, बट आई नो, बट दे शुड, आई एग्री दे शुड, बट लेकिन जब मेरे को ही नहीं पता कि ये नंबर अवेलेबल है,
okay,
जब मेरे को ही नहीं पता, आई एम सपोज टू बी द मोस्ट वेल रेड, और मेरे पास ये नंबर मेरे को रटे होने चाहिए। आई शुड हैव बीन स्पीकिंग अबाउट दिस नंबर्स एवरी डे कि इस नंबर पे इन्फॉर्म करो। इसका मतलब है कि ये मैसेज घर घर में नहीं पहुंचा है कि आपको किसको इन्फॉर्म करना है।
right,
I have two doctors who had severe reactions, and I asked them कि उनको रिएक्शन 2 दिन के बाद हुई। बोले हमने तो किसी को इन्फॉर्म ही नहीं किया, हमने अपने आप को ठीक कर लिया घर में बैठ के। People are not informing. My wife had a symptom, we never informed, and then so many people have mild symptoms, nobody is informing. वो कहते हैं ये तो होता ही है, ये तो एक्सपेक्टेड है। सो इफ दे आर सेइंग दिस इज, जैसे आपने बोला कि पेन हो सकता है, रेडनेस हो सकती है, फीवर हो सकता है, फैटीग हो सकता है, वो कहते हैं हमें बताया हो सकता है तो फिर इन्फॉर्म क्यों करें? एक्चुअली इट शुड बी इन्फॉर्म सो दैट यू नो कितने लोगों को फैटीग हुआ। बट
absolutely,
बट
absolutely.
आज की डेट में तो कोई इन्फॉर्म ही नहीं कर रहा। सो जो लोग इस प्रोग्राम को देख रहे हैं, याद रखिए अगर आपको वैक्सीन लगा है या लगने वाला है, याद रखिए नंबर कोविशील्ड के लिए 1-800-120-0124 एंड कोवैक्सीन के लिए 1-800-1022245। इन नंबर को लिख के रख लीजिए अपने पास में। अगर आपको हल्के से हल्का भी तकलीफ हो, यू नीड टू इन्फॉर्म। आपको हेडेक हो रहा है, यू नीड टू इन्फॉर्म। आपको फीवर हो रहा है, यू नीड टू इन्फॉर्म, क्योंकि इसी से बाकी लोगों का फायदा होगा। कई बार क्या होते हैं, क्लस्टर ऑफ सिम्टम्स होते हैं, आप इग्नोर कर देते हैं, और अगर सेम सिम्टम्स एज ए क्लस्टर अलग अलग जगह में पाया जाए तो किसी तीसरे का फायदा हो सकता है। That's all for today. Let me thank Dr. Anita Chakravarti to be here. It was wonderful interacting with you. And all my colleagues who are watching this program, keep watching Medtalks with Dr. KK. We'll be back tomorrow 7 p.m. with another show. Thank you. Namaskar. Tomorrow I have a program, Medtalks, we will have at 8 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock. And yes, tomorrow we will have a special show at 8 o'clock from 6 to 8 p.m. I am giving an international lecture to UNESCO on mutation that will be live on this platform. So therefore, the 7 o'clock show will be 8 o'clock and 8 o'clock show will be at 8:30 p.m. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Namaskar.